And when we get there, we start climbing up, and then the bees come, and we start running out of there, and she freaks out, and she gets stung like, I don't know, 20, 30 times.
Holy
and I
shit.
actually, one of them die and fall off, or I get it. I take a picture of it. I was going to document all this.
You're like, hon, I'm getting a picture.
So
Suck it up.
Well, no, I took the bee because, they followed us. They're chasing us all the way back. And then, anyway, in fact, we can get into this. This is another story. The pyramid I found, the uncharted pyramid, not on any tourist map, that rivals the size of Chichen Itza.
You found a pyramid.
Yeah.
No one knows about it.
Yes and no. No one ever hears about it. People do know it exists now. And so INA, the international, it's the authorities of Mexico, they're aware of it. But it's not, if you look at any tourist map, it's not on any map. You don't really hear about it. There's only 2 or maybe 3 academic publications on it. A university had studied it only once before. That was my, that was actually my honeymoon. My wife and I had got married in the Yucatan at the site of Uxmal by a Maya shaman it was a traditional Maya wedding ceremony. We did it at the pyramids. We were the first couple to do this there ever. And then our honeymoon, it wasn't hanging out on the beach. You think Anyextee is going to sit around on the beach when we've got ancient mysteries to explore? We unfortunately, my wife, we came together through our interest in Hermeticism and alchemy, so she's already into, this stuff, and she's indigenous, so she really understands indigenous traditions. So we decided to spend our honeymoon, a couple of weeks, going around the Yucatan and Mexico, not just going to the tourist sites and showing up and paying a ticket, but trying to explore. Real explorers looking for obscure and often overlooked sites and really examining them in depth. So we were like going into the jungle. Few people do this. People go to the archaeological sites, and you see stuff on YouTube, but few actually go and do real explorations. And so I knew somebody that owned a plot of land in Egypt. He had several hectares, and there was word that there was a pyramid in the jungle. So we went to go explore it. We went at night originally. I had I never put this out on YouTube. I need to make the YouTube video. This is like
this is crazy.
10 years ago. I had an artist design. My wife is Lara Croft. Me is Indiana Jones with the dreads in the background. We had the pyramid. It was called Escape. Indie Anyextee and Karina Croft in the Adventures of the Missing Pyramid, subtitle Attack of the Killer Bees. Because when we went there to this pyramid, we actually got attacked by, she did. She got stung multiple times. I had to bring her to the hospital. It was dark. We had to go through first we had to go through a jungle, just us two, no guide, no nothing. And you're going through the jungle, and then, when we get in the direction where we believe the pyramid is, I start hearing noises. It could be wild boar, it could be jaguar. Who knows? Likely not jaguar because there's a lot of people in the area, but maybe we've been there when jaguars have been in the area and they have to hunt them. They're hunting you usually. And so, we get to this massive pyramid, which really what's significant about it, the top of the pyramid, it has a megalithic lintel. The Maya aren't really known for megaliths. They have some big stone, but this is an unusual thing, and it has some unusual rounded masonry, unlike you see elsewhere, contours and such. And it's still, most of it's buried. If you look at it from one angle, you just think it's a giant mound. You wouldn't even know, but it's a 100% legit pyramid that's not fully excavated. And when we get there, we start climbing up, and then the bees come, and we start running out of there, and she freaks out, and she gets stung like, I don't know, 20, 30 times. And I actually, one of them die and fall off, or I get it. I take a picture of it. I was going to document all this.
You're like, hon, I'm getting a picture. So Suck it up.
Well, no, I took the bee because, they followed us. They're chasing us all the way back. And then I forget how we even ended up getting that bee. I don't know if it was in her clothes or I forget but we had the bee because I wanted to show the doctor to be like, is this a killer bee? This is what stung her. Because we didn't know what was going to happen. She got stung and she got very sick right away. She had like a bad allergic reaction. I'm like rushing out of the jungle. I swear it felt like an Indiana Jones adventure. We find this pyramid. We're attacked by killer bees. We go to the car. I rush her to the hospital in Piste. She goes overnight. They give her an injection. I show the doctor the bee. He didn't know what to say about it or whatever, but she's supposed to be fine. Yeah, and that was the end of that mission until the next morning when we were talking about it, and she said, let's go back. I was like, all right. So we go back now in daylight earlier, second attempt, and I document the whole thing. I'm filming. I filmed us running away from the bees. The camera was rolling the whole time. None of this is staged. You see it all happens in real time. And then I finally get to the peak of the pyramid. She didn't want to climb all the way up the top. I would say, again, the height rivals Chichen Itza. I don't know the exact dimensions of the height. Again, there isn't much published on this pyramid, but I found a lintel with inscriptions. And before I learned how to read the hieroglyphic language, which I'm still learning, the Maya language. The Maya were really my first. I was going to write a book on the Olmec and the Maya years ago. And so I started studying the Maya language, which is very difficult, very hard to read Maya glyphs.
Why is that?
It's incredibly hard to learn, I think. Egypt is like, if you focus on Egyptian hieroglyphs for 3 months, you're going to learn how to read hieroglyphs.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, because you,
I don't
you were
know.
able to pick that up, but not Maya.
There's so many more symbols and the placements, and like it was just very difficult for me to comprehend. It took me. I got all the books I was reading. I know some of them. I could go and be like, oh, I know this means this and this is that, but Maya, to read the Maya language is far more difficult, in my opinion, than studying hieroglyphs. But anyway, I did notice a sign that looked like the symbol for Ekbalam and what may be a ruler or a queen. So I took this. Now, you've had Luke. Luke says his mentor is Dr. Ed Barnhart.
Correct.
Before Luke even met Dr. Ed Barnhart, years ago, I had contacted Dr. Ed Barnhart. I mean, this is...
Yeah, he's like the guy.
I know from studying Maya, he's a serious Mayanist. He has some alternative ideas of his own, which are reasonable to conjecture. He's been featured on Ancient Aliens, but he's never said anything wild. And now he's in Graham's series. He's a serious source. He studied under Linda Sheely. So this is important in the Maya world. She was an art historian who helped decoding. She's part of the whole movement that forwarded everything in Mayan studies. And so I contacted him. I had been following for years. I knew who all the players were, the academics, who's writing papers, because I was reading everything. I know he was around. He was selling the Maya calendar. He had a website. He did podcasts. So I reached out to him. I knew he knew the language. And he confirmed that these hieroglyphs may be relating to the Queen of Ekbalam, which is a site north of Chichen Itza. And Peace Day, where this pyramid is. So there's a connection. And there may be more to it. This isn't fully worked out. I think there's only one university, Penn State University, if I recall, and there's only been 1 or 2 publications on this site. I didn't know that at the time, and I came back. I'm like, "Fuck! I discovered a pyramid." This is, it was over a decade ago. I was a little more naive. I discovered a real pyramid. You're not discovering anything new. The authorities know about everything. They've scanned. They know, the locals know where everything is already, and then the authorities know where stuff is. It's difficult to find something new, and maybe little things here and there are buried, yes, but for the most part, they know far more than we know. And so I found out that you don't see it on any map, but I did find, when I dug into it, it did exist. And I posted it on Facebook, and another fellow researcher, hundreds of people like the post. Nobody had ever seen the site. It's just one guy that studies the Maya really well, and he was like, "Oh, it's Ikil." And I was like, "Ikil?"
Oh, he knew it.
He knew it, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm surprised. How would he was surprised I even went there?" And then that's when from there went in, and I realized there was a couple of things that were published on it, but few know about this pyramid.
Yeah, the ones I wonder about farther south are the uncharted ones in the Amazon. My buddy Paul Rosalie's been on the podcast 3 times before. He's obviously lived down there for 19 years. And there's urban legend, but also secondhand tales that seem to have legs to them about there being pyramids deep in the Amazon that are protected by the uncontacted tribes that, could have all kinds of implications there. They also might not. They might also just literally be pyramids that these uncontacted tribes are around.
They might not even be pyramids, but they could be terraces or structures too. Sometimes we see a terrace structure and we're like, pyramid. So it's really, how do we define what a pyramid is? Is pyramid really pyramidal? It comes from the Greek word pyramidos, which means fire in the middle. But I've seen images from the Amazon of stone structures, stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's more that we don't know. I think there is. For sure, I'm in league with the idea that there might be more that we can find there.
Yeah, Paul talking about this is what gives some credence to it to me, because Paul is like the ultimate skeptic. He thinks all these fucking people talking any conversations like this, he's like, yeah, okay.
My type of guy.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, dude, relax, back it up. So when he's, and he's still like ambiguous about it, like, I don't know. But,
Good attitude.
But it's interesting because the Amazon is so dense, man, and the history there from just like a Mother Nature perspective is insane. But real quick, I just gotta run to the bathroom. When we come back, we gotta talk about this emerald tablet I've been looking at all day, and the Luxor temple as well. We keep putting that off, so let's get to that. All right, we're back. You were just saying off camera that 15, 20 minutes ago you got off the one story about the cacao. what was going on there.
yeah.
So let's just fill that in real quick.
Yeah. I seem to go on a tangent. Sorry about that.
All right,
Julian.
no, it was good.
Yeah, well, I was telling a story about the time I went to the festival in Northern California, and so as I mentioned, I'd been to Mexico. I would lead tours of Mexico. I've done explorations there, and I could see all these geometric reliefs. When I was at this festival, I stopped at this vendor booth to get cacao, which it comes from the coca bean, and it's like I thought it was gonna be a cacao milkshake. You know, I thought it was just like I was taking some nutritional drink and everything. Safe with these hippie guys who have a higher consciousness.
Safe with these hippie guys. Bad start.
Well, you know, in truth, it was, you know, I know a lot of people in Northern California, and they do tend to have a higher level of consciousness when it comes to health. You know, so I was just trusting the fact that everything's organic and fresh, and it was. It's just that I don't know how he prepared his cacao, but he did it likely in the traditional way, because there are indigenous traditions that use cacao for vision quests. You know, a lot of people know the ayahuasca or San Pedro, Wachuma, you know, what have you. But cacao can induce mild. You can receive visions from cacao. Apparently, as I have experienced.
Yeah. So what happened?
So I'm drinking this shake, and you know, I thought everything was fine. I thought, you know, and I'm walking around, and literally within minutes, I look up to the sky, and I'm like, oh man, I don't feel good. I feel like I want to pass out, and I start dripping with beads of sweat. And I'm looking at the sky, and I usually don't. I'm not the type of person to get visions like this. But I had these visions, and it started to look like gears turning and like geometrical shapes. And they were very similar to the geometrical shapes that, you know, I see among the Maya and elsewhere at the Greek. And I'm like, and then I got really sick, and I ended up vomiting and passing out for a while, and woke up, you know, yeah.
There you go.
Hippie festival. So then it dawned on me after the fact. I was like, fuck, man, I was really sick. I was like, but man, I must have been tripping, because the sky just started turning into these geometrical shapes, which remind me of the stuff I've seen in ancient civilizations. And I'm wondering if this is the missing key to why a lot of this, you know, a lot of these principles, thoughts, ideas, symbolic gestures make their way into different cultures around the world, oceans apart. You know, were they all tripping off drugs? Or you know, the thing is, I hesitate to say tripping off drugs, because
I understand.
they're supposed to be medicine, right? Yeah. It's plant medicine is a sacred act. And it's supposed to get you, for shaman, they're getting in touch with the divine. They're going within, and they're accessing the immaterial world around us, right? Or above, or whatever. And so I'm wondering if a lot of these geometric shapes come from certain experiences, perhaps, which then they're expressing, because why do we see it with the Maya? Why do we see it with the Greek? Why do we see it elsewhere? And they're basic, you know, geometrical patterns, your squares, your triangles, and then the different, you know, forms that can come out of that. But at the end of the day, forms, as they align with numbers, again, these are universal principles. They're at the core of everything. We're still using the square to enclose a space. We still, even though you can have different interpretations for a triangle, it's pointing up, it's denoting up, and when it's inverted, it's pointing down. It has a meaning. Yeah, there's multiple meanings of that symbolism. In alchemy, it means something different, you know. But ultimately, at the core, it's usually the same thing: material pointing up to the spiritual, and spiritual coming back down into the material. That eternal cycle. And so, yeah, I just started to wonder if, you know, because it was through indigenous traditions and Western esoteric philosophy and ontology that sometimes it differs from our more scientific, deductive, rationalized Western view of things, if they were receiving the information from the divine, if they were receiving information from Creator, perhaps with the help of plant helpers. You know, because it's the shaman.
I see.
It's the shaman who goes out and eats the mushroom for the first time, trips out, has visions, and comes back and communicates to the tribe to raise the vibration of the tribe, to help the people out. You know what I mean? And so that's, I'm wondering if these visions, you know, these ideas are coming to them. Yeah. Or the other, and I'm not sold on any one idea. The other concept is also like what I was saying before. As humans, we all face the same problems. We're likely going to arrive at the same conclusions. I do this all the time. I think I was the first one to find a parent. I think I invented this idea, or I think I was the first to do this. Then you go on the internet, you're like, oh, I'm going to put out this video on this rare oh, fuck, this guy already did it 3 years ago. You know, like we arrive at the same conclusions.
Yeah. It's amazing that in today's world of over 8 billion people with human history, how even if you said it was shorter than people like to think it is, however long it is, which is a long time, and all the internet connecting us with all these ideas, from the way someone phrases a tweet all the way to research that's existed for thousands of years. Like the idea, no pun intended, that we can continue coming up with new, fresh, and original ideas, to me is something I think about so often, because I'm like, wow, it really is exponential, because you think everything's been done, or most things have been done. Like you still, to your point, you still will think of stuff and you'll be like, oh my God, that's crazy. And then you'll type in what you just thought on Google and it's like, 100 results. And you're right. That does still happen. But like on the other side of it, I'll think of something and I'll be like, that's definitely been done before. And I'll just something random, not anything like a note, but like I'll type it into Google. I'm like, ooh, that's never been said before. Wow, like it's a crazy thing about shared information today. Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.